What is up, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Pittsburgh Professional Sports, where we talk about everything Pittsburgh related. My name is Jonathan Rittenauer, and I will be your host, and I hope you guys will join us for future episodes, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. But first and foremost, we're going to be talking about our Week 13 matchup against the Cleveland Browns. Yes, the dog pound, the Brownies. And so we're going to be talking about after the fact of our Week 11 matchup where Mason Rudolph got his head basically bludgeoned in with his own helmet by Myles Garrett, which has left a salty taste in both Pittsburgh and Cleveland fans' mouths. And so I think, to say that, this has been left in people's minds for the past 2 weeks is an understatement. I know that we would like to act like this has been overlooked, that no one's focused on the fight and emotions won't be flaring during the game. But there's a reason why they moved it up to a 1 o'clock game, which a lot of people have speculated about, which I'm not going to, but I think the emotions will be running high during that game. And so I just can't wait for it. It's going to be an exciting time. But first, this week on Tuesday, I believe it was, Mike Tomlin had announced in a press conference that Devlin Hodges will be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I'm really excited about. And I'll name, the reasons why here in a couple seconds or a couple minutes or whatever it is. But I think Tomlin has made the right decision. And I think there has been, a couple of times where Tomlin has made the right decision, the correct decision this year regarding starters and whatnot. And so what I want to get out and air out first and foremost is Tomlin is a great coach. I know that a lot of Pittsburgh fans, because I read the comment section all the time on the Steelers Facebook or whether it's on the Tribune Review or whatever it is, Post-Gazette, a lot of people don't like Tomlin. I don't understand it. I don't know where all this animosity has come from. I know that he hasn't won an AFC championship since, I think it was 2009. But, you have to keep in mind, Tomlin has basically had nothing this year. He's had no players, no star power whatsoever. He's without his starting quarterback. He's basically has done something with nothing, He has a winning record right now. 6-5 is not too shabby for the team that he has. And I'll say this. There has been a lot of coaches out there that have done less with more. They've had, star power, and they haven't even made it to the AFC championship. And some of them have been lucky to even go 500, but they have been fired. This man has taken us to almost every playoff since he's been a coach. I think there's only been 2 instances where we haven't made the playoffs, which is pretty stinking good. But, and I've had my share of complaints, so I'm not acting like I'm holier than thou. But, first and foremost, give Tomlin a little bit of a break here. But I think he's made the right decision by naming Devlin Hodges as the starter. I think, Devlin has a lot more gumption than Mason Rudolph. I think he doesn't allow his emotions to get the best of him like Mason Rudolph. Why, and this leads me to this. I don't think necessarily that Mason Rudolph is the answer. I just don't. I don't see it. I know a lot of people have seen it. They're like, oh, he's the future. You just got to give him time, man. You just got to give him time. Everybody has a year to prove themselves, 2 years to prove themselves. But I just don't see it. And I'll tell you why here in a second. Devlin was kind of forced into the starter position this year. I get that. Which doesn't really, it doesn't really bode well with a lot of backups because they're thrown into the fire and they don't really understand, the game. They don't have a rounded game yet. And so I get that. And that's true. But with Mason, I think there's a couple issues that you have to think about. He just, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, they graded him as a first-round pick, right? They have seen first-round potential in this guy, and they had believed that this is the guy. And not saying that he could not end up being the guy, because that's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that it's hard for me to see that right now, based on a couple of reasons. The guy's pocket awareness, when the pocket is collapsing, the guy is awful. I mean, it looks like he's standing in cement. He doesn't get rid of the ball. He just stands there. And we wonder why there's so many tip passes from the line and tip interceptions. It's because he just stands in one place. His pocket awareness sucks. And I don't know where that is, because I think in the beginning of the year, he had glimpses of understanding the pocket and knowing when to maneuver outside of the pocket. Like, I think this is just speculation, so this isn't true. But I think this all stems from when he got walloped. I think was it Humphrey that walloped him? I'm not 100% sure. That is just 100% a guess. But when he got knocked out, he was running full speed, and the defender was running full speed, came up, nailed him in the chin, knocked him out. And I think that is partially why he doesn't move from the pocket. You think about it, when you're standing back there, it's less likely you're less likely to get knocked out by standing there by one person coming at you at full force than two people going at each other at full force and getting knocked out. The damage is severely is more significant. And so I think that's why, but the man, he just has no pocket, presence whatsoever. Like he just stands there. And so, with that being said, you look at future starters and quarterbacks, they show glimpses of greatness. They show glimpses of understanding the game. They are able to manage a game on some certain level. You know what I mean? Mason can't. Like, it just, for right now, he's shown me that he can't do that. That's an impossible thing for him to undertake. Just because, you look at Sam Darnoldson, I think, is a great example. Yeah, he has his moments, and that game against the Pats and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, he's had those games, but at the same time, I mean, there has been glimpses of greatness there. And the same with Baker Mayfield. I mean, even though I hate the guy, I dislike the guy like a lot. He shows glimpses of greatness. Like, and I think the scary thing is the Browns they're eventually getting it all together. It looks like it's all coming together, which is a scary thing for a lot of Steelers fans. But with Mason, I haven't seen that. He has digressed since the beginning of the year. And I would argue that point at any time with anybody. He has not looked good. I mean, yeah, the teams that he has won games, but the games that he has won, I mean, were against subpar teams. Devlin, at least he was facing a Chargers team that is kind of competitive. Mason, like, he looked terrible against, let's think here. He looked terrible against Miami. Yes, they scored. But, Miami was doing before half, but Miami was doing an all-out blitz, a cover, I think it was a cover 3. Like, I mean, that was a given, and it was a soft coverage, so they were playing off. So it's just crazy to me that a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of promise there. No, there absolutely isn't. Other than the first couple games that he came in, there was kind of like, you're like, okay, but they were like short passes, which don't really, once people get an understanding of what you're doing, you're just passing out of the backfield, they really catch on pretty quick. But even when he faced the Rams, he looked terrible. You think about it, 9 stinking points came from our defense. That is mind-boggling, because that was 9 more points than I believe our offense had scored. Like, I think our offense, did they score a touchdown? I don't even remember. But no, let me go back. Our offense had spotted, I believe, the Rams 9 points. That's what I was saying. You think about that, that is absolutely nuts. Like, how does that happen? Like, one off a fumble recovery in the end zone, Pouncey, who was it? Was it Pouncey who snapped it too high? Went over Mason's head. And then there was another one. Mason got sacked in the end zone, safety. It's just 8 points, whatever. But it's just the fact that 9 points. I was right the first time. But anyway, like, you just think about all this. It's just insane where people are trying to defend him. He did absolutely nothing against the Browns, the Bengals. Those are 3 games in a row. When you can barely, like, when your red zone percentage is like near the worst, that is definitely not a good thing moving forward. And I think Coach Tomlin has seen that, and he's thought to himself, there's time to make a change. And like, if you watched Tomlin's press conference, he said, what's the difference between Devlin and Mason? He said, Devlin didn't kill us. and that's true. Like, that, how demoralizing, not only for the offense, not the score, but for the defense, knowing that you're going to get a turnover or 2 per game, and the offense isn't going to do anything with it. That's pretty demoralizing, because Mason, honestly, there was a few times in almost all 3 of those games where Mason had gotten the ball within the opponent's, on the opposite side of the 50, on the opponent's side of the 50, and he was not able to do anything. And there were some times when they were actually in field goal range, and because of him holding on to the ball, he was sacked, and it took us out of field goal range. There could have been like at least 3 field goals that we made during the Rams game, but because of penalties and also because of him holding on to the ball, we were not able to capitalize on that. And that is the most frustrating thing that a quarterback could do. You also seen it in the Bengals. There was times where there was boneheaded plays, like things that you shouldn't do, like the intentional grounding. Who the heck was he throwing that ball to? There was absolutely no one in the vicinity. He knew it was going to take grounding, was going to be a grounding, and he took it anyway. Like, I don't understand what this guy is thinking. It just makes a lot of, he was unable to read the Browns, which the Browns defense isn't that great. Like, they're good, but they're not great. I think Pittsburgh honestly has a better defense, especially now that Myles Garrett has been suspended for the rest of the season. But, they're not great. So let's talk about this. The Browns facing the Steelers, what are the concerns? What are the things that we shouldn't be concerned about? I can tell you this. The Browns aren't going to score 41 points on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Absolutely not going to happen. And a lot of the Browns fans say, oh, yeah, we've been good these past couple weeks. But look who you faced. You faced us, and you faced, Mason Rudolph, who basically spotted you 14 points. Let's be honest now. I mean, if it wasn't for Mason's turnovers in our own, it was basically in the red zone. I think it was around the 30-yard mark. I think our defense at one point just gave up, because it was like, there's no point to this, because our offense can't do anything. And so, you see that. I mean, we spotted them 14 points. There you go. You can have it. The 7, yeah, you can have that. But after the first 7 points, they did absolutely nothing. Schubert missed that field goal, but I think that's his name. But he sucks at kicking anyway. So, and we don't have to worry about their kicking game. But like, they had 7 points. I'll give them 7 points. The other 14 were given. We spotted you. Congratulations, you scored 14 points. But other than that, they're not going to score 41 points on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They scored it against the Miami Dolphins, and I've seen a lot of Cleveland fans celebrating the fact that they scored 41 points on the Miami Dolphins. Flip side of that, Miami Dolphins scored 24 points on the Cleveland Browns defense. That should not bode well in Cleveland. That should be nothing to celebrate in Cleveland for a couple of reasons. The Miami Dolphins suck. I know that we almost lost to them, but look at our team. It's pretty depleted. You have four, I'm not going to say 5, because I don't think Baker Mayfield's a superstar. You have Odell, and, you have Kareem, you have Chubbs, you got Landry. You have those 4 guys. Yeah, you have star power. You should be scoring 41 points on teams of that caliber. But that's not going to happen against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think, TJ Watt and Bud Dupree are going to make Baker Mayfield's life, crap. And so I think, he's going to have a hard time. I think, what they have to do better, the Steelers, that they didn't do in the first game, was they have to contain Baker more. They have to keep him in the pocket, because when he's in the pocket, he doesn't know what he's going to do. When he gets outside of the pocket and he starts scrambling, that's when he's a threat. That's when he's a danger. And because when he's scrambling, people can get open and whatnot. I don't see that happening. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to neutralize them in that manner. It's not going to happen this time. I see the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this, just because I think the defense is going to come out. Devlin Hodges is not going to kill the Steelers. Mason Rudolph killed the Steelers during the Browns game. Let's be honest here. That's not going to happen. And a lot of Steelers fans will probably say, well, Mason, you scored 7 points, during the first Cleveland. That was off of pass interference. We had 5 penalties going against the Cleveland Browns on that drive. I think I believe 2 of them were pass interference, which took up chunks. Not good. But anyway, I think the Steelers are going to win this game. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to say 21-17. But I see the Steelers winning this. I think the defense is going to come out and play correctly. I think they're going to keep Baker Mayfield in the pocket. I think Duck's going to come out and he's going to have a big game. I think, one thing that Randy Fichtner cannot do in this game is hold back. Like, I really don't think he needs to do that. Because as we saw with Devlin, coming out second pass of the drive, throwing a post route to Washington, you got to come out swinging. I believe this game determines who's going to be in the wild card, whether it's the Steelers or the Browns. But I think the Steelers have less likely of a chance if they lose this game. So, you need to come out swinging. Randy, you can't be like tiptoeing, put your toes in the water to see how it goes. You need to get going, because what happens with a lot of times with the Steelers is, last year it was the complete opposite. We would take our foot off the gas. This year, we don't place our foot on the gas until we're down at 7 to 14 points. We cannot do that. You have to put your foot on their necks to begin with, and we need to get this going. And I think, and which we'll talk about this later. I do think that Randy Fichtner, I'm sorry, but he needs to go. Randy Fichtner, I feel like he is not a coach. I think he listens way too much to Ben. I love Ben, but I think he listens way too much to Ben, and he doesn't, take that all, he just doesn't, I don't know. I just don't think I think Mike Munchak would have been a great offensive coach for the Steelers. I don't think Randy Fichtner is. And, So wild card playoffs. I think the Steelers will be they are in the wild card spot right now, and I think they will end up being in the wild card spot at the end of the year. I think their road is a little bit easier than the Cleveland Browns. And all honestly, I think the Cleveland Browns have an easy schedule, but I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to come out swinging, and I think they're going to beat the Buffalo Bills. I think that's I know that they're going to lose to the Ravens. That's a give me. The Ravens are incredible this year, and it pains me to say it, but Lamar Jackson, everybody's saying he's a running back. Come on now. Meow. What is this, Super Troopers? But, come on. Honestly, let's give him some credit, man. The kid, he threw 5 touchdowns against the Rams. That's pretty stinking good. And he's able to run the ball. The kid is like Cordell Stewart on steroids. Forget Cordell. He's Michael Vick on steroids. He's going to be around for a long time. He's not going to be like an RG3. He's not going to be like a Johnny Manziel or any of them. He is going to be a quarterback that lasts, and he's going to be in our division for a long time. So, with all that being said, I think, the division's out of the question. The Pittsburgh Steelers will beat the Buffalo Bills, and the Brownies. Buffalo Bills, Cardinals, whoever else, Cincinnati. No, we don't play Cincinnati again. But I think, we will beat those people. We will beat those teams in the future. I think the Buffalo Bills, I think they're playing, people are giving them a lot more credit than is deserved. Who have they actually played? I don't think they played anybody good. And I think the Steelers will manhandle them. But anyway, that is my wrap up. Week 13, Steelers 21-17. You heard it here first. Maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know, but I'm trusting my gut on this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below. Let me know who you're picking. Let me know what the scores are going to be at the end of this week with the Steelers versus Browns. Let me know who's going to be your playoff wildcard pick for the AFC. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for future content. And I will see you guys later. Bye.